Alright, let's dive into this because it's a move that, on the surface, might seem like just another roster shuffle. But personally, I think it's a lot more interesting than that. The Brewers just outright Carlos Rodriguez and Thomas Pannone to Triple-A Nashville. And what makes this really interesting is the different paths these two pitchers are on. Rodriguez, a 24-year-old righty, was once a promising prospect, but now he's at a crossroads. Pannone, on the other hand, is a 32-year-old lefty who's been more of a journeyman. So why does this matter? Well, it's a perfect example of how quickly things can change in baseball, especially for young pitchers. Let's start with Carlos Rodriguez. A few years ago, he was one of the Brewers' top pitching prospects. Nicaraguan-born, with a lot of potential, this guy was on the radar. But here's the thing. He's only pitched sporadically in the majors over the last 3 seasons, and his numbers haven't been great. We're talking just over 6 earned runs per 9 innings. Now, I get it, small sample size, but still, it's not the trajectory you want to see. What many people don't realize is that his Triple-A numbers in 2025 were decent, but this year, it's been rough. An 8.35 ERA and a 15.4% walk rate. That's not just a slump, that's a trend. If you take a step back and think about it, this could be a make-or-break moment for him. He's still young, but in baseball years, time is ticking. Does he accept the assignment and try to turn things around? Or is this the beginning of the end for his time with the Brewers? Now, Thomas Pannone, completely different story. He's 32, which in pitcher years is more about experience than potential. He made 1 start this season, his first MLB appearance since 2023, and gave up 2 runs in 3 innings. Not terrible, but not exactly eye-catching either. What this really suggests is that Pannone is more of a depth arm, someone you call up when you need a spot start or long relief. His 4.13 ERA in Triple-A is serviceable, but with a 90 miles per hour fastball and a modest 19% strikeout rate, he's not blowing anyone away. The fact that he has the right to elect free agency is huge here. Does he stay in the organization and keep grinding, or does he look for a fresh start somewhere else? Personally, I think this is a no-brainer for him. Free agency gives him options, and at his age, that's valuable. What makes this move even more fascinating is the context. The Brewers just added Dustin May, Jojo Romero, and Antonio Senzatela to their roster. These are guys with more established track records, and it's clear the Brewers are prioritizing experience over potential right now. That's a tough pill to swallow for someone like Rodriguez, who was once seen as a key part of the future. But here's the bigger question. Is this a temporary setback, or is it a sign of things to come? Are the Brewers shifting their strategy entirely, or is this just a short-term adjustment? One thing that immediately stands out is how quickly prospects can fall out of favor. Rodriguez was a top prospect, and now he's fighting for his spot. It's a reminder that baseball is as much about consistency as it is about talent. Pannone, meanwhile, is in a different phase of his career. He's not expected to be a star, but he's reliable, and in a sport where injuries and slumps are constant, reliability has its own value. What this really suggests is that there's no one-size-fits-all path in baseball. Some players peak early, some find their stride later, and some never quite make it. If you take a step back and think about it, this move is a microcosm of the larger trends in baseball. Teams are constantly balancing youth and experience, potential and reliability. The Brewers are clearly prioritizing the latter right now, but is that the right move? Personally, I think it's a calculated risk. They're betting on proven talent over unproven potential, but what if Rodriguez turns things around? What if Pannone finds a new gear in free agency? This raises a deeper question. How much should teams invest in their prospects, and when is it time to move on? A detail I find fascinating is how these moves impact the clubhouse dynamics. Rodriguez and Pannone aren't just names on a roster. They're players with stories, careers, and futures at stake. How does this affect morale? How does it shape the narrative around the team? These are questions that don't always get answered in the stats, but they're just as important. So what's the takeaway here? In my opinion, this is a reminder that baseball is as much about timing as it is about talent. Rodriguez and Pannone are at very different stages of their careers, but both are facing pivotal moments. For Rodriguez, it's about proving he still has what it takes. For Pannone, it's about deciding what's next. And for the Brewers, it's about making tough decisions in the pursuit of success. What do you think? Is this a smart move by the Brewers, or are they giving up on potential too soon? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts.